It's still Breakfast Daily. We are going to be getting into our community development segment, and today we'll be talking something very interesting, something very inspiring. It's a very good story that we're going to be looking into and looking at. We're going into the community of Ashaiman. Now, for a lot of us who don't live in Ashaiman, when we hear Ashaiman, we don't necessarily have the best, emotional, uplifting feeling. But this is a really, really good story coming out of Ashaiman, and I am excited about getting into this. We're going to be talking about Pleasant Medical Center. Yes, it's a facility that has been set up there, a full hospital facility set up there to provide the first-class, world-class medical care to the community and beyond, all right? Now, let me just introduce my guests to you first of all, and then we'll delve right into the conversation. All right, so we've been joined in the studio today by Kezia Dakon, who is a registered general nurse who works at Pleasant Medical Center, and then also Dr. Robert H.O. Nunu, who is a robotic general and colorectal surgeon at WakeMed Health and Hospitals in Raleigh, North Carolina. He's the founder and board chair of Pleasant Medical Center here in Ghana, Ashaiman. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Thank you.
You have to raise your voices small. Or you look
Thank
like
you.
you haven't given you a coffee or something.
Like still at the theater,
You're still in theater, eh?
Just a little bit.
All right, so I think we should go back a little bit and just find out how this whole journey of the Pleasant Medical Center began.
But David, before
Yes.
we go on to
Okay.
that,
All right.
you carry such a huge,
You like the robotic and
yeah,
colorectal
yeah.
surgery thing.
What does that mean?
Okay, let's get it.
Yeah, so I'm a general surgeon,
Okay.
which means that I do surgery mainly in the abdomen, gallbladder, appendix, and things like that. I also trained as a robotic colorectal surgeon. So colorectal surgery is where you're mainly dealing with, colon cancer, inflammatory bowel disease, and sometimes things like hemorrhoids.
Okay.
It all falls under colorectal. The robotic part, these days we've gone from doing open surgeries to laparoscopic surgeries, and now we're doing some robotic surgeries as well. So I mainly do robotic surgery for my patients who have colon cancer and rectal cancer.
Okay. Now, so you're a general surgeon. You have the skill set already to get into people who have colon cancer and all of that. What's the advantage of the robots?
Okay. So the robotic surgery is similar to laparoscopic surgery in that instead of you making a big incision in the abdomen, you make small, tiny incisions and you do the surgery through those incisions using a camera. The big advantage really is one, patients recover faster, better, and more importantly with fewer complications. Because you want to avoid complications, and the big incisions are more likely to get infected.
Okay.
And so especially in Ghana, I think that if you could go the laparoscopic way, it will cut down the amount of infections that we get.
So is it true, and I heard somebody say this, but is it true that so the bigger the wound, the greater the complications? Or the
Yes.
greater the likelihood of complications?
Yes,
that's
yes.
true.
We have some studies that have shown that when you have a big midline incision, after 5 years, they did CAT scan on 100 of those patients, and 85% of them had hernias. And not all were symptomatic. So the hernia rate is quite high, and that means that that's another thing you got to have surgery for to fix. So if you could do laparoscopy, you can totally avoid that.
Okay.
The big incision also produces a big inflammatory response, with the body trying to heal it, and that sometimes takes away from the body trying to heal your actual surgery. And I think that is part of the reason why the big incisions are just not as good, and the small incisions are better.
Right, and so we go back to our first question, how
Yes.
it all began and how Karma Shaiman has this beautiful health center.
So it started with my father. His name is the late Dr. P.K. Nunu. And he grew up in Jamestown. He comes from Bukum. And he actually started a hospital there in 1983.
Okay.
It was called Bukum Hospital. And he worked there until he retired in 2012. Unfortunately, he's passed on. But when he stopped working, and that was when I also started coming down more often, and we decided that we could take on this project and see what we could do about it. I grew up in Tema, and Ashama has always been, where my father worked. And so we've been there many times. I actually did my national service at Ashama number 1 JSS.
Okay. As a teacher?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
In 1990.
Okay.
So I was very familiar with Ashiaman and the area where the hospital is actually called the Middle East.
So that's Ashama Middle East.
Ashiaman Middle East.
Is it different from Ashaiman, Lebanon?
Yes.
Yes.
It's different?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Ashaiman is an international
So
military.
Ashama, we have New York, we have Middle East, we have Lebanon, and then others.
Yeah.
United Nations.
It is. And I think it's called Middle East because there were a lot of soldiers who went to serve in the Middle East in the peacekeeping.
Yeah.
Yes. And so when they came back, they got land there and they were building there. So it's called Middle East. And I think it's a similar story for Lebanon as well. So Ashiaman is, I've got lots of patriotic people who have over the years, served this country and served the world actually.
So you say that your dad was from Bukum.
Yes.
So it means you're from Bukum.
Yes. Yes.
Obanya no wie gafio ahawo.
Oh, Ganlenyo.
Okay. You see, me, I'm trying my gown because my gown was, but I said I'll try the thing,
Okay.
No feno no tawali of an me.
Okay. I like
Can
it.
you
I
come
like
back?
it. Yeah, let's come back. Let's come back.
Let's
Right?
come back.
So I think that people are watching now and are curious about Pleasant Medical Center that we are talking about. Maybe we should give them some context because
Sure.
we have some
Okay.
conversations we had earlier at the hospital, during the period of the surgeries and everything else. So let's take a look at this video that we have for you. I spoke with Dr. Nunu there. I spoke with Dr. Pascal, who's originally from Nigeria, but is also based in the States, as well as Dr. Jeff as well. And so you see the hospital, you see, hear some of the conversations that I had with them, and you see some of the surgeries.
But David, before we go to see that,
Okay.
what really took you there?
So for me, I think the first thing was I met Dr. Nunu,
Okay.
and then we had a conversation about what he was passionate about.
Okay.
Doing a give back. The fact that you come from a place. And this is, for me, as far as I can recall, this concept is very American. The idea of you come from a place, you've gone and done well, give
come
something back to the place that birthed you.
Yeah.
But I think it's a concept that we as Ghanaians need to take on. I mean, at least we take on a lot of things from everywhere. This is one of the things I think we really need to adopt, where we go back home. Because there are communities, for example, like the Kwewus, for example, are great at going back home and giving back to where they came from,
and
right?
now they've given
as
us
an
a
example.
national festival.
Thank you.
They've owned it.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were talking about the Ponyuro school.
School,
that
Yes.
I mean, natives from there
let's
who are doing
go
well should go back
back to the
give
place
the
that
society.
birthed us,
Yes,
you know, and
yes.
all of that. So this, for me, that was the attraction
Well,
to the
Doctor,
story.
God bless you.
And I thought it was brilliant, you know,
Yeah.
that he can live his life, he can go wherever he wants to go and do whatever
He's
he
not
wants
Ghana
to do.
Health Service.
But
He's not Ministry of Health. But he's giving
he
back.
doesn't have to do any of those
Exactly,
things.
yeah.
But it's like, you know what? God has blessed me so much with all of this. Why don't I go and give something back?
Exactly.
And I thought the story was just a beautiful story, you know. So let's take a look at this. Viewer discretion, though, because there are some footage of surgeries that will be a little bit unsettling for some people. But it is what it is. The doctors do experience this, and the patients go through this, you know.
And
so,
the nurses.
And the nurses also, yes, they deal with this all the time. Of course, Kezia is here. We'll be talking to her later as well. So let's take a look at this. When we come back, the conversations will continue in studio. We're here at the Pleasant Medical Center, and it's a completely mind-blowing experience for me because, as you will see, we'll have a conversation with Dr. Nunu later, this was called the Bukom Clinic before. Now it's called the Pleasant Medical Center, and it's a beautiful edifice. It's not completed, but what has happened here already is amazing. Now, I've been joined by one of the doctors, now Dr. Pascal Osita Oduku. Now, I hope I didn't butcher that name. Dr. Pascal, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. Yeah.
Talk to us about, first of all, what your practice is in terms of being a surgeon in the U.S. and why you're part of this mission to Ghana.
So we're a fairly large group of general surgeons that practice in Raleigh, North Carolina. Our group consists of core of 9 surgical trauma and critical care specialists. Then we have several colorectal surgeons. We have some foregut surgeons, as well as breast surgeons. But our group has developed over the years as a very close-knit group of surgeons. Our philosophy is trust and loyalty, and through that, when Dr. Nunu solicited for some help to come and do some charitable work here, I think there was an immediate response amongst the surgeons themselves, not just helping to raise resources, but also to come and help do the initial, some of the initial surgeries that he had planned here in Ghana. Prior to this, we do have some experience with some humanitarian efforts. For about 30 years, we went once or twice a year to Nicaragua in Latin America to work with one of the universities there, both in providing charitable surgeries as well as teaching some of the residents who are there.
So let's talk about the surgeries you've been doing here. What have you been working on, and what has this experience been like?
Yeah. So Robert Nunu, Dr. Nunu has done a fabulous job of organization, and what he wanted to do was to have impact on people's lives who might not necessarily be able to afford to have surgery. One of the big focuses is hernia repair, because especially if your work involves heavy labor or lifting, that a hernia is a crippling affliction. So being able to repair that and return those people to productivity is a very important thing. So another one has to do, because of our problems with local salts, and this is a problem I think throughout West Africa, many salts are not iodinated, and we have a high incidence of goiter, which is swelling in the neck. If you become symptomatic with voice changes or pain, then that is also a crippling problem. Cosmetically, it's a concern, but when it becomes functional, you can't swallow, it's a nutritional and physical issue. We've done several pediatric hernias as well. Treating those early allows the children to participate fully in all activities, avoiding the pain and discomfort with the enlarging hernia. So those are certainly so he selected the things that he wanted to. He also wants to at least initiate laparoscopic surgery as well. Minimally invasive surgery has many benefits. So we've done one laparoscopic surgery today. I think he plans to at least one more before we go, trying to make sure that all of the equipment and setup is working and functional. So I mean, I think he's taken a very strategic type of approach. Many doctors don't have any business experience and have a difficult time setting up an enterprise that requires many different functions. And I think he's done a good job. He's got a good IT employee. He's got human resources, you know, and he's tried to look at this from a perspective of looking forward rather than just putting something in place that's just functional. So.
From this experience, coming back to Ghana another time on a trip like this again?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole idea. I think that Dr. Nunu is going to be here more frequently than anybody else. But I think that he plans to continue to raise resources through charitable functions in the United States to try to bring surgery, not just to people who can afford, because to run a place like this requires ongoing resources. So I think raising money and getting people engaged to come from abroad and participate and let people see what kind of impact they can have on people who don't have the same access to healthcare that we have at home in the United States I think is a good thing. So I think we're looking forward to his next gala that he will have in Raleigh, and we'll go there and try to help him to raise some money, and that's what then translates in order to bring the resources and to operate on patients without charge.
I'm a general and trauma surgeon.
So, to a layperson, what does that mean?
We operate mostly in the abdominal cavity as well as the chest in general surgery. So things like hernias, gallbladders, appendectomies, colon cancer, all kinds of things in the abdomen. And also I have a specialty in trauma care. So anybody that's accidents that are majorly injured in the United States, unfortunately, we take care of a lot of gun violence and things like that. So
what have you been doing in terms of the surgeries that your team has come to do here? What sort of things have you been working on in Ghana?
We've been doing mostly hernia surgery, hernias, gallbladder surgery, some lumps and bumps removed, as well as things like hemorrhoids that people are bleeding from. So a good variety to helping out.
What was it that jumped out at you that said, let me do this trip?
It would be Dr. Nunu, who's been our partner for well over 5 years in Raleigh, and just a great partner and friend. And when I heard what he was doing down here and asked me to come down and consider helping, it was a no-brainer to come down and help support his mission to come back and help his people in Ghana.
I'm about to have a conversation with Dr. Robert Nunu. He is the mastermind behind this project that has brought in doctors from the United States to conduct a number of surgeries. And earlier I spoke with him and he made mention of, they're going to try and do, upwards of 40 surgeries. And I can't even imagine what that must be like. But Dr. Nunu is here. Dr. Nunu, how are you doing?
I am well, thank you.
How has the day been so far?
Today has been better. Yesterday was pretty tough. Today we're actually trying to do a half day, so that's the surgeons and anesthesiologists who are here can get half of the day off because it's been a very hectic week. We have so far done 22 surgeries. There's last one left to go. That will make it 23 for the week.
22 surgeries. My goodness. How are you still on your feet?
It is tough. We're all tired. And I think that's why we are doing a half day today. And also jet lagged from, arriving last week from the US and just starting to work straight away from Sunday. It's been a long week.
Long term, how often are you going to, or are you thinking about, bringing this sort of intervention where a group of doctors will come in for a short period, do something impactful, and go back? Is this something you're planning futuristically?
Yes. So this is going to be an annual thing, and that is the plan. We actually have a charity called Digestive Diseases Aid, and the goal of the charity is to raise money to bring the group down to come and do surgeries for people who really cannot afford. So, but apart from that, I will be coming down at least 3 or 4 times a year. I'll be here, and then we'll also do some surgeries whilst I'm here. In the meantime, apart from this program, we have a gynecologist here and also our resident physician here, who is Dr. Ando, who also does surgeries. And they have also been doing myomectomies for patients where they don't have to pay for the surgery part. They do have to pay for their medications and if they stay overnight. But for the surgery itself, which is some thousands of Ghana cedis, that is completely waived. But we do have some investors, because I couldn't do it all by myself, and so we hope that at least we should be able to make money, some money for our investors. But they do understand that this is mainly a social impact investments, and we don't expect any turnaround within 2 years. We expect this to be a long-term thing.
So talking about social impact, you brought in how many doctors, and how did you get everybody to say yes?
So I brought in 2 surgeons and 1 anesthesiologist. And then we also brought the certified nurse anesthetist, who is like a nurse who helps the anesthesiologist. And they've been wonderful. They really have been wonderful. Right off the go, as soon as I asked, they all said yes.
We heard about this group coming from a friend of mine at church who sent it onto our platform at church. So I followed up here for inquiries, and we came for the first screening. My daughter has got gallbladder stones, and the gallbladder needs to be removed, and this will stop her having pains and vomiting, and because this can cause obstruction also from the pain, from the stones.
Na minam susa se mesa yare no mentumi nsa meniska na de eda mi abrabo no si na esune ha yare no ba abed yare no be si mi so ache 2013 na mi wo school na skeni ho nti mi fight se mentumi ha eni yare ne e fight na so meniska nti ene obi direct me na na mi so Medabe hospital Ashama.
Me banedi de Malvin Obinfusu. Me wo no na onya 7 matro na me ho se oso a me side hasi epija. Nti no me ka kire obi no se o yemfa ko hospital. Ti ye de ko hospital bi ye ko e no mo se hemia. Nti no omo my transfer na de ko hospital bi nti ye na process mo asana. Me ti ye se present care clinic omo ye surgery for enkwala ne penefo omo hernia ne fibroid ne eho keka ho na me ne me ba no ba ha na ye be ye bibia en na sunday nso ye ba be ye screening ntino ye da omo ase me wo gidie wo nyame mu se omo betimi aya ama no e wa sunju no gidie.
So I'm sure you get a good sense of what we're talking about now when we say Pleasant Medical Center and the whole mindset behind it and everything else. Now, as we're talking, as we're listening to this, watching the video and listening to the conversations going on there, and then we're also having other conversations here, I've just become emotional about, the whole thing, because it's really to think that, somebody can be selfless to the point to say, I don't have to do this, but I feel burdened. I want to ask Dr. Nunu, really, I mean, why?
So, yeah, it's always been the question. I think I left Ghana when I was 21 years old to go to Sweden to go to medical school, and you always, you leave Ghana, you travel, you see all these beautiful places. I mean, from Sweden, I've been to many European countries, eventually went to the US, Canada for some more training, ended up settling in the US. And you see how well other people have it, other populations have it. And you always think back and you feel like, why can't we have this over there? Why can't we have something over there that I can also come here and be proud of, instead of everybody thinking that you are coming from somewhere where there are zero resources, because that's not really the case. And so I've always thought that, one day I would like to have this opportunity. In fact, one of my friends, my good friends in Sweden, she'll be coming here in November, and she actually reminded me that when we were in second year medical school, I told her that I was going to build a hospital.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember, but she does. And she's like, yeah, she reminds me, she remembers me telling her that, and I always thought, oh, that was a noble idea, but thought, I don't think you can do that. It seems so far-fetched and quite big, yes.
Wow.
So that's been the driving force in me trying to come and do something and to give back. And being a surgeon, I thought a good way to actually, one thing that we could do was to introduce laparoscopy, because that is something that shows, that surgery is moving forward. At least from open surgery, you move to laparoscopy. Maybe you're not going to get to robotic surgery yet, but at least let's move things forward. We've been doing some collaboration with surgeons at Kolebu. So there's one surgeon from Kolebu, he's a young surgeon who's been with us. And the idea is also to exchange knowledge. He did teach us quite a bit about how to fix some of the really big hernias, which is what they are used to. We don't do too many of those in the US. And the idea is also to teach him also some laparoscopy.
So this year we see on the screen is the laparoscopy you're talking about.
So yes, that is laparoscopic surgery. This gentleman was having his gallbladder taken out. I think he has been having gallbladder problems for a very long time. Initially, they thought he was having ulcers. He was treated for ulcer for many years, but he kept coming back. And he eventually had an endoscopy. And they looked in his stomach and they saw that there was no ulcer there. And so he had an ultrasound of his gallbladder, and then they saw that he had stones. And so that was really the cause of all his problems and his pain.
Now, let's go to Kezia. Are you based in Ghana?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been a nurse?
I've been a nurse for, just after my rotation. That's my first job.
Okay.
Just when I say rotation, that's national service.
Yes,
All right, sure.
yes.
Yes, sir. That's actually my first job.
But you've been pretty much exposed to our healthcare delivery system.
Sure.
I mean, how we do stuff here.
Sure.
What does this, a Pleasant Medical Center mean to you?
Pleasant has really exposed me to a lot of things. It's giving me the exposure as to how to handle patients and all that. It's really giving me the go-ahead in the step I have actually embarked on. I mean, to be a nurse is not just a mere thing. It actually comes with a lot of sacrifices, a lot of ideas. So you need to be very bold, you need to be determined, you need to be focused, you need to be hardworking. It's not just to sit and then just put your hands
Is that
curled.
why sometimes when we come to the hospital, you shout at us?
No, we don't shout at you.
Part of the sacrifices, pour your frustrations on us.
No.
But you know what I'm talking
No,
about.
I understand
Yeah.
you. I understand you, but well, that's what I'm saying. That comes with lots of hard work,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's a calling. It's a profession. Usually, we say nursing is a calling. So yes. So if it's a calling, I don't think such attitudes would bulb up when you are working or when you're handling with your patients.
What I'm curious about is, from all the different experiences you've had going through school and then doing your national service, compare the experiences in terms of facilities, the environment, the work environment and all of that to what you're experiencing now at Pleasant Medical.
It's actually not the same. Yeah, I mean,
What's
so
the difference?
The difference.
So the difference is you are now facing the real nursing job. So what you do in school is quite book. But when you come on the field, it's a different thing. Nursing is about putting yourself away and then, I mean, caring for your patients more. That is what nursing is. So in Pleasant Medical Center, as part of our core values, no, let me not go to the core value. Let me say the vision, the mission instead. Our mission is to deliver affordable, quality, and protocol-driven healthcare to our people in Ashaiman and in fact the global as well, the whole Ghana as well. And that's why we've come up with this DDA-free surgeries. So it's not just we are not just limiting ourselves to Ashaiman, but to the whole Ghana at large. That's why we have people coming all over from OT region just to have this surgery done.
People came from OT for this surgery?
Oh yes, people are coming from
Okay.
OT, Kumasi.
Give us a sort of like a global map of where do people come from. So apart from OT region, where are some of the other places that people came
We
from?
have people coming from Kwewu, they said what?
From Kumasi,
Kumasi, a lot of coming from.
Okay.
Juapon,
Yes.
Okay.
Senya Breku.
Okay.
Exactly. Takwa.
Yes.
Can you
Wow.
imagine?
For these surgeries, which were free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there's the Lord's work. Yeah, this is the Lord's work.
Yeah.
Now, let me come back to you again, Kezia. You mentioned that throughout your studies, it was more of
Book.
theory.
Yeah.
You have come out and now noticing the difference, okay, between studying it and practicing it. How should we now orient ourselves as a nation, especially with the training of nurses? If you had the chance, how would you have wished your training was like, knowing what you know now?
Okay, so, well, I think it's actually the same. However, a lot of nurses are refusing to practice what they have learned in school. That is our major problem. When we go to the field, we do what we met them doing. That is what we also practice, which is not supposed to be so. So whatever you learned, we should practice whatever we are learning. And so an example is when you go and you meet your patient swelled up in bed, you just have to clean the patient up. It is part of the job. That is what you have learned. But it is other way around. You understand?
Nurses don't like to engage
I'm
sometimes.
I'm just trying. Just an example I'm citing.
Yeah.
I'm saying probably that's exactly what happens on the ward. But example.
Well, they do happen at the ward.
I have never.
You were a nurse, so you
experienced
say, but I've always been a patient, so I know.
it. You've been a patient before.
Who hasn't?
Oh, okay. Sure. So that's what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
whatever we learn, when we go on the field, let us practice whatever we learn. Let's not just boycott it and then just adapt whatever we meet on the field.
Talking about doing what you've learned and all that, Doc will be leaving. Yeah? How do the rest of you who have to man Pleasant Medical Center ensure that we still have the quality that we will get if Doc is around?
You know what? Pleasant is always pleasant. Whatever we do, all our activity, all our services are pleasant. And so for us, we actually do not have any hitches when it comes to our job. We don't know, well, we have never encountered such a messy service. Our services are always on point. We are always pleasant. All our activities are pleasant. The nurses, they are pleasant. And so that is why we find people coming all the way from Amasaman to come and then have their checkup at Pleasant. Don't you think there are lots of hospitals on that stretch?
No, we want to come to the pleasant place.
All right, and so it shows that our services are pleasant.
Absolutely. Awesome. Now, Doc, so this particular session was for free.
Yes.
Is it going to be a one-off something? Would you come back again?
No, the plan is to do this every year.
Okay.
We would be raising money through our charity called Digestive Diseases Aid. And that's what we use to come and fund these free surgeries. Because it's free for the patients, but someone has to pay for it.
Yes.
Yes, and so in order for to have that money to pay for it, we do raise the money. We organize a gala. We try to get some corporate sponsorship as well, and hopefully it will be bigger next year, and then we might be able to do more surgeries next year.
So who paid, for the doctors coming down, the trip and everything?
So that is the wonderful thing about this whole thing. I mean, that the doctors, the nurses, they all pay their way.
Wait, you're saying that they bought their own tickets?
They bought their own tickets, and that's almost $2,000.
What did you tell them?
Yes, exactly.
Convince them to bring them
How do you manage to
down
convince
here?
them to buy their own ticket
At
and
their
come to
own
Ghana
expense.
and come and work?
Yes.
And not just that, they are missing 2 weeks of work, which could have made them more money.
Exactly.
So it's an incredible sacrifice. I think it's a testament to the relationship that I have with them. I know they used to go to Nicaragua before I got there, so I have not even been to Nicaragua with them. They don't do that anymore. But it's just the relationship. I mean, I'm always available to help all my partners, and that's sort of the kind of group that we have. There are almost 20 of us now. When I joined, I think we were about 13, so it's a group of surgeons that is growing. And we're really, really very helpful and supportive of each other. And I think just because of the relationship you have with people, when you do good for other people and you don't think about it, one day they'll all be doing a lot of good for you. And I think that is this is a testament to that, because not only do they pay for their own tickets, they have to get temporary licenses, and your temporary license, that's another $800 they had to pay.
Wow.
So it's
Wait,
a big
okay,
sacrifice.
So no, slow down there, because I think it can easily be lost on people what you're talking about. For a doctor to come from outside of Ghana to come and practice in Ghana, you have to have a temporary license.
Yes.
And that has to be paid for.
Yes.
It's the equivalent of $800.
It's about $800.
It's about $800.
Yeah.
And they
I
pay
think
for
it's
these licenses themselves.
It's 730 something. Wow. So they're doing that, and I would say that if apart from the big part even is the 2 weeks that they take off. It means they are not making money in those 2 weeks. That's the time that as surgeons they could be operating over in the US and making a lot of money.
So how many days more?
So
Less on the 2 weeks?
Today's the last day that they are operating, and then tomorrow we are leaving.
Only tomorrow?
So tomorrow evening we are
So
leaving.
how many
So that'll
surgeries
be
have
2
you
weeks.
done?
So last week we did 23, and this week we plan on doing 37. I think there've been 2 cancellations, and so if everything goes well today and tomorrow, we'll probably end up doing around 35 for this week. Yeah.
Free surgeries?
Free surgeries, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. Well, we've been joined on the line, actually, by Samuel Kwao Tete, who actually lives in Ashaiman. He lives in Ashaiman, Middle East. He's an opinion leader in the community. Mr. Tete, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Hello?
Welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, so have you been to the Pleasant Medical Center yet yourself?
Yes, I was there I think last Saturday.
Okay.
My son and my wife.
Okay. Now,
That was the first time I tried to be there and then look at their services.
okay.
Yes.
So how long have you lived in Middle East?
In fact, I can see the property there is over 45 years, but I have lived there for 30 years.
You've lived.
And
wow.
I've lived within the area for 30 years.
For 30 years. Okay.
But I've left the place, but I had property there, so I'm always there every morning, afternoon, evening.
Okay. Okay. So tell us how you feel about this hospital, which used to be called Bukom Hospital. Now it's been changed completely. How do you feel about this as a facility within your area that you know so well?
Yes, what I can say is this edifice that we see over there today, it's a unique place. It's a very, very unique, I'll say, because I've been to most medical facilities in Tema and Ashama and other places. And this one has been there, Bukom has been there for so many years, but then the change of name from Bukom to Pleasant, the Pleasant name itself is something that you should understand it. And the inside the serenity of the place, the doctors, the nurses, the paramedics, and then a special one man called Aaron Mensa.
Yeah.
Aaron Mensa, that's the operations manager.
The operations manager, yes.
He has been fantastic, you know. He's on top of his work, understands it. And in fact, the Saturday we visited there, that was the first time I came to assess the health something.
Okay.
And really speaking, the medication and everything, I was amazed in terms of where I've been going, and then continually the same medicine, the same tablets, but this one different. And I'm seeing a really difference in myself and my wife.
Wow.
And then one of the most important things I also saw was the insurance over there is okay. Most of the medicines that other facilities will tell you go and pay for and buy, they're giving to you.
Right.
So,
Ms. Dete, so just give us a sense of the general healthcare facilities within the Ashaiman Middle East area. I mean, what has it been like before Pleasant Medical Center came?
Oh, I would say before Bukom wasn't like what you are seeing, but this one is a new edifice. That's what I'll say. And other places I've been to. The structure-wise, we are believing in structure-wise. The structure doesn't look like a hospital, and then convert it into hospital, I would say it's not the best. But this one has been designed for the purpose of what you are seeing today.
Yeah.
What you are seeing today, and I believe if I should rate it, if it's not the best, it will be one of the best in Ashama and Tema municipality. Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
what I can say. Yes.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you. So that was Samuel Kwao Tete, a resident of Middle East Ashaiman. He's lived there for 30 years. He says he's out of that area now, but he has property in the area, and he always is there every day. And also, he paid a visit to the facility just last Saturday with his wife, and he had a great experience at the place. Doc, yes. So you had a dream. You put it down on paper, made a plan. You're seeing it materialize, come to life in this way.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Very humbled in many ways, because you think about something and you write things down. I have this exercise book that I write down my thoughts and ideas and things that I learned and things that I want to implement. And you go back and you look at some of the stuff that you were thinking about, and for it to actually happen has just been amazing. I mean, I think the big part of all of this is the laparoscopy part and the fact that we can actually work with Kolibu to try and bring young surgeons to come and learn some laparoscopy. I think that to me is really the best part of this.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to put all this together, to build the hospital?
So we started off, I initially thought I could do this by myself. That's how naive I was. I used my own money. I started in 2014. And it was quite the journey. After about 3 years, I ran out of money. My wife said, don't touch the pension. So I couldn't touch my pension, and I decided to get some investors. So we've had all kinds of other groups who've been wanting to invest in us, but eventually I settled on some friends. There are some friends, a cousin, in fact 2 cousins, and some friends from Adisada College who came on as investors, and that was what was able to help us to just start. We've had some bigger investors in the beginning, but I didn't want to, let's say, start the whole project with all the 3-story building and everything ready, and all of a sudden you are employing 200 people. I felt that the project would get out of control, in that you want to maintain a certain kind of culture. And as Kezia was mentioning, we have something called the Pleasant Way. And the Pleasant Way, that's our 4 tenets, and it helps us, and it helps to guide us in the way we treat each other, the way we treat our patients, especially, and also to it's supposed to help us to grow, and to tell you, it's honesty and integrity, respect for each other and for our patients and for everybody around us, teamwork, and then continuous improvement.
Now, you've done this very, very amazing, very audacious. Why are you not living in Ghana? Why do you want to do this, such a huge investment, but live somewhere and let this run? Are you worried about your investment?
No, I'm not worried about my investment at all. I mean, I would say that I've been lucky and blessed as well, because over the years, you always hear about people telling you, like, oh, I went to do this in Ghana. Oh, and they chop my money. And this happened, and the money's gone, and the project never started, and that sort of thing. That has not been my experience. I have a cousin, Mark, and Mark has been incredible. And Mark's wife is Dr. Ando, who also runs the place. And between the 2 of them, since 2014 that we started doing this, there hasn't been a day where I'll sit down with them and say, hey, what happened to this money? And that has never happened. And I think part of it is because we set things up to make it more transparent. So we transfer money down into the accounts. It's obvious for everybody to see. Every money that goes out of the account, I get an email that tells me what it was used for. And so you're able to track things, and it makes things a lot easier. I always say that even with the construction company, they gave us a bills of quantities, and then you're not sure whether it's overcharging or undercharging. You don't know. And so for our own peace of mind, we get an independent quantity surveyor to give us numbers. And it turns out that actually the construction company was cheaper than the independent guy, So then you do things like that, and it settles your mind so that you're not going around thinking if somebody is misappropriating your funds.
How old is the hospital? Since it started operations?
Yes, 14th of October 2021. So we opened in the midst of the pandemic.
But do you have any plan, to come settle in Ghana anytime soon?
So I do. I would love to come back.
How soon?
2 years ago, I was in a 10-year plan.
Okay.
And so now it's an 8-year plan. So we're going down. I have kids who will be in college soon. My daughter will be starting college in the fall. And my son will be going to college in 2 years. And my plan is once they have graduated, because paying for college in America is expensive. You know, I can imagine working here and paying that. That would probably kill me. So I'm hoping to finish paying for their college, and then I'll come down. But currently, I still plan to come down 3 or 4 times a year. I think this year is going to be 4 times. And it's not going to be just me. There are other colorectal surgeons that are part of this group that we are collaborating with Kolibu. And so they would come down and they would bring cases, and that can be done laparoscopically, and they would do them at Pleasant. And the idea is to bring some of the young surgeons from Kolibu for those cases as well. And they're all Ghanaians.
So that there's knowledge and skills transfer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And there are 2. One is Professor Laye, and then Dr. Gifty Kwachi. They are colorectal surgeons, and they actually started a collaboration with Kolibu.
Okay.
And they were able to bring me on board since we had this facility, so that we can offer at least the laparoscopic portion of that collaboration.
Now, before we let you go, you know, this is very inspiring. I mean, you've set a fantastic example for others to follow. What would be your advice? Because Ghana is struggling. You're a Ghanaian, and so you know the challenges we have in this country. I mean, Kezia will give you more. But what would you tell, you know, other individuals, other Ghanaians elsewhere, and even at home, who are doing well in terms of giving back to the country?
Yeah. So I think that Ghana is blessed with some really good doctors. Some of the surgeons that I've met in Kolibu are fantastic. The young man who works with us is a very good surgeon.
What's his name?
What's that?
What's his name?
His name is Dr. Adams Zakaria, Leslie Zakaria.
Okay.
Fantastic young man. But what we don't have is the facility. I think doing things like laparoscopy requires, you know, for you to be precise. Everything has to be on point, because any slight mistake, you could actually end up causing more harm to your patient. And you need the equipment around you. The equipment is not cheap. And I think it's harder for the government with its multitude of problems to try and also supply that. I think they've been trying, it's just been hard to maintain things. And I think that in the private sector, we'll try to augment what the government is doing. And I do hope that other private individuals will be interested in setting up facilities like this. I think ultimately we don't want too many small facilities all over the place. You want to have one big tertiary facility that can take care of thousands and thousands of people. And I think when we can get to that point where we can have such a big private facility that can rival the big ones that the government has, I think that would help to raise the standard of care. But it's been hard. I mean, over the years, we've all been relying on the government, and I think the government is struggling, and so it's even harder to ask them to pay for all of this. So it's been a journey.
Right. I'm sure it has been, but thank you very much. At least finally, there is a certain point of arrival.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And I think thank you is not...
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
God bless you. You know, I mean, that's all we can say, because
God
we can't really...
Yeah.
The one thing that I would say is that, you know, before we go off there, is that Pleasant Medical Center is in Ashama, but it's not restricted to Ashama. I mean, because of what we do, I had patients coming, people who live at East Legon come over there, people from Tema, of course, people from all the way Pram, people come from Kumasi and things
Yeah.
like that, as we said, and they all come there to enjoy our services because of what we do. It's very easy to get hold of us. I think you can get to, we have an app, so it's called PMC, Pleasant Medical Center, and so for those who have Google Play, you can download the app. Through that, you can book an appointment, you can come, and sometimes you can actually even get to see the doctor through the app as well, if it's too far. We use that for some of the follow-ups with the surgery. So Pleasant is not just limited to Ashama, it's for,
No, it's for all of us.
everybody.
Yes.
And if you need laparoscopic surgery, you know where to go.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nunu. Kezia, thank you. Keep up the good work. Don't change. Okay? Do it a pleasant way. All right. And so we've been having a conversation with Dr. Nunu and Kezia. They are doing the Lord's work and fantastic edifice in terms of healthcare delivery. And so now you know where to go for your laparoscopy. Just visit Pleasant Medical Center at Ashaiman, Middle East.